All right, so today briefly I want to share some tips in terms of finding great deals on some rentals because this week was an unusual week. Well, I wouldn't say unusual, just an odd week that actually ended up being a great thing. A young lady came in. We started helping her look for a house on Monday, and today is Thursday, and she's signing a contract already. So after 4 days, found a beautiful place, and actually found quite a few. And I just want to kind of share some stuff because this thing can kind of get discouraging when you're trying to find a place. You start to feel rushed if you don't know what you're doing. And so I just want to share little things that y'all can do so that you can be prepared for what's coming. Because like for us, the first 3 days that we had appointments booked, the agents all flaked out, couldn't find anything, or the ones that we were supposed to see were no longer available, or agents they just stopped responding. The people who had listings online, they just don't call you back or don't show up. And so the first 3 days it was looking real grim. But then today, last night, got a bunch of confirmations to show some listings today. They showed up. One didn't show up, but we also found some other properties that were just a great deal. So for example, there's one that just came through. So after all the bad luck, one just came through, 2-bedroom. Now it's only 1 bath, but it's a 2-bedroom, 1-level flat, and it's $250 a month. Most people are like, I need 2 baths, but for $250, some folk are willing to compromise and say, okay, you know what? Because of the location of this place, right down the road from the mall, and all shopping, all the restaurants, it's literally big giant parks right across the way, within walking distance from this 200. So this 250,000 or this 5,000 peso house started looking really, really, really attractive, even with the 1 bathroom. However, this young lady has already settled on a 3-bedroom. So we came across a 3-bedroom house that we saw today in Alta Brisa, prime location. When they said the price was 10,000 pesos, I almost fell out my chair. I was shocked. I'm like, man, we got to go see this because I don't believe you can get this for no 10,000 pesos in Alta Brisa, furnished with all of it, with all of the amenities that were around it. Beautiful neighborhood, very quiet, big giant covered garage, big gate that opened up so she can drive right into her own parking, covered parking, big gate, big garden area in the back. 3 bedrooms, beautiful air conditioners in all the rooms, living room, just flawless. Now the one we saw before that was a 4-bedroom with 1 bedroom on the main, with the bathroom, and it also had a big giant pool. They wanted 12,000 pesos for that, but it ended up coming down to 10,000 pesos again, which was a steal. I'm like, wow. So 2 to 3 days of bad luck, and then boom, everything just fell out the sky. So saying all that to say, when you're looking for these places, man, you just gotta take your time. Now, I'm gonna be straight up with you. Finding these things in 3, 4, 5 days, for most people, it ain't gonna happen. I've been running these streets up and down, talking to these folks. I understand the process very well. And the only reason I'm able to get it done that quick is because, one, I have other folks looking for stuff on my behalf. People just randomly send me stuff because they know I'm looking. Locals automatically just send me stuff. When stuff become available, they just send it. And a lot of these listings that are online, a lot of these listings They're not posted online. So a lot of this stuff is just word of mouth. And so I'll receive messages, text messages, emails with listings saying, hey, I got this available. My friend is doing this. My friend is doing that. And so I got those kind of relationships. So that's why in many cases we can get some stuff done fast. And even with some of the agents that I work with, because a lot of these agents, they're pulling listings because they do earn commissions. Some of these agents, they earn commissions. And so the savvy ones, they'll get back to me pretty quick because they know my people are looking for something pretty quick, and that's an easy commission for them. I don't get any money off of these properties or anything like that. I tell these agents, like, look, this is what we're looking for. Don't try and give us any of them other houses that's 30,000 pesos a month. We're looking for this 3-bedroom in this price range, 7,000 pesos to 10,000 pesos. That's where we at. We're not going over that. This is what we want, and this is what it's going to be. So if you want this commission for this, go find the stuff. And so we're not dealing with agents that specialize in working with expats and stuff like that, where they know they can show higher end stuff like that. So saying all that to say, for most of y'all, it's going to take probably some weeks and probably some months to find an ideal property. And I suggest you just take your time to do that, because it's very important that you go to these different neighborhoods and explore. I'm gonna suggest spend the money on a rental car. Get a rental car, ride around. Look at the different neighborhoods, look at the different areas, different sides of town, and be willing to go outside the main expat areas, live further out in the suburbs. Well, I wouldn't say suburb, but live further out in the rural areas. And one, you're gonna save a lot more money on the rent. Two, the electric bills and the water bills tend to be much cheaper in those outside areas versus trying to live in these other more modern, pristine, prime areas where everything just costs more money. I know I'm paying a lot more money for my electricity just because of the area that I'm in, versus if I lived on another side of town, just because I live there, the rate's gonna be cheaper. Little things like that, you know what I mean? So get a rental car. Don't skip out. The house that we saw came across today, the 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. Supposed to go look at it tomorrow. While we were waiting for an appointment to look at another house, we decided we just want to ride up and down the streets, up and down the road to see if we saw any for rent signs. And I was driving, I drove right past the house. And so the client that I was with, she was like, oh, did you see that? You missed it, back up. So I backed up, boom, big rent sign on the thing. And so I messaged them, and they just got back to me not too long ago, and with all the terms, 5,000 pesos, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, air conditioners in all of the room, blah 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 blah, location, blah 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 blah. And I was like, so I sent her a message, and I'm like, I know we're already looking at you putting the contract down tomorrow, but might want to take a look at this one just to rule it out. I'm not going to decide on her behalf. I'm like, here's the information. I'd rather for you to decide before we go take a look at this, before you put this money down. So she has the decision to say, because again, that's half of the rent. The other place is $500 a month US. This is $250. That might make a big difference. That might be enough. Again, the other place in Alta Breach is very nice. Nothing wrong with it at all. But depending on what your goals are and how much money you're trying to save, if you can get to $250 and still be totally satisfied and happy, get to $250. So again, get a car. Take your time. Ride up and down the streets. Don't skip any roads. You go down up in every turn, up in them neighborhoods, and until you see every individual house on them streets, and you might get lucky. That's how we found Nikki's house. We were going to see another place, we turned the corner, boom, for rent sign right there in front of us. Nikki was like, man, that place might not be furnished. I said, well, we won't know until we send them a message. Let them tell us it ain't furnished. It might cost too much. We don't know how much it's gonna cost. Let them tell us how much it costs. You know what I mean? So this is one of them things where, you know, you don't get in your own head and potentially miss out on some things. So if it has a for rent sign on there, we call it. So when you pass by something, don't even judge it based on the way it looks on the outside. Contact them folks and find out what the real deal is on that property. So again, take your time. You just can't rush this. You just can't rush it, because every time I find places for people, I'm blown away at how much more affordable the prices just tend to get, and the value you still get for the lesser money. I met a couple yesterday, and I'm gonna talk about this in another video. They were telling me that their budget, they live on $700 US a month, and they're pretty much free to do any and everything they want. And I'm like, wow, $700 a month. And I'm gonna share more details about that momentarily, but it just blew my mind. She was like, Cartess, we live out here in this rural area. We out here for a reason. I ain't knocking nobody else's hustle, but as for us in our house, this is what we doing. And mind you, I'm gonna tell you, they got 3 properties. They living on $700 a month budget, and they own 3 houses out here in Mexico. I'm gonna tell you, make sure you watch the next video to learn about them folk. They doing it, you know what I'm saying? Now them folk with a plan. You know, so take your time in looking for these houses. If you got to pay somebody, because I told y'all I'm getting out of this space. If you got to pay somebody to help you find the right space. The issue with real estate agents, they make commissions. And depending on the type of real estate agent you get, they're gonna put you in these other neighborhoods, more modern, more high-end. One, because they get more money. 2, that's all they know. Many of these agents, particularly ones that deal with expats, because many of these agents are Americans, or Canadians or Australians, foreigners like myself. They themselves aren't willing to live in many of these rural areas. So naturally, they're gonna try and encourage you to live in these more fancy modern areas. So I'm not gonna say all of them out there to get commissions, but they're only gonna show you stuff that they themselves would live in, and many of them would never ever consider living out of these rural areas. When I went out there to them cenotes a couple of months ago, we passed through some small towns, pretty towns like Oman, Tamahek, I can't remember the name of it. We passed through these small towns, and these towns were beautiful. I'm like, wow, this is probably where I can get some rent for $300, $200 a month all day long without even trying to look. And these are the places where you can find houses for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 without any effort. And I'm like, I would live in these towns, because when I lived in the States and I was living in Atlanta, I lived in a small town called Adairsville, 45 minutes, an hour outside of Atlanta. tiny stick, living way out in the sticks. You know what I'm saying? But he say Cartess like living in them 1-horse carriage towns. And so, and I do. So why come out here trying to live in the big city when I go to one of these 1-horse carriage towns out here in Mexico? I've always liked that kind of living. Less traffic, less crime, good folk, friendly folk, cost of living significantly less, good quality food, and just good, wholesome people. Have the same thing out here. You know, so I got a few more years with my youngins, and when they catch up out of here, guess what I'm doing? Cartess is going into the sticks and living way out in the sticks. I can come into Merida or Central Merida and hang out whenever I want. But in terms of living where I'm gonna live, put me out there in them sticks and I'm gonna be straight. And I'm gonna be super happy and find all the stuff to do while I'm out there. You know what I mean? Most of all, save my money and use those extra savings to go really do some things that I want, travel and do all that other stuff, invest, retirement, etc., etc. That's why I say it keeps coming back to the goal. So if you can get your mind outside of this idea that you must live within the city, the main city, you got some options, serious options. You know what I'm saying? So, man, be mindful of that. So take your time, be willing to look outside the main areas. Don't be rushing. Don't feel you have to take the first offer that come. Be open to other offers. Be open to the way some of these houses are set up. Because many of these houses are going to be different from what you're used to back at home. And it's not a bad thing, it's just different. You know what I'm saying? So be flexible, be open, and don't necessarily be willing to rush. People who contact me, they generally needing something pretty quick, and they're more or less leaning on my experience and knowledge to say, okay, if you say this is a good area, this is a good house, I'm gonna take you at your word, and I'm just gonna trust that I'm gonna be in the right place. I have no agenda in trying to get you a higher price place nor a lower price place. I'm looking for the place that you want. If you say Cartess, my budget is $1,000 a month, which is 20,000 pesos, I'm gonna say, look, I don't think we need to spend 1,000. You want a 3-bedroom, two bath, 2.5 bath, and a pool. This is what you're looking for, and you want this and that. I'm looking at them like, I could probably get you that for $500 or $600 a month, and that way you have more money left. Them $400 a month that you're saving, that's $5,000 a year. And that doesn't count how much you might be saving on your electric bill because you're in a certain zone. Some of the places that you get might already have internet, so you might not have to pay $20, $30 a month for internet. It's included in the rent. Those little monies add up. You might be like, and not only do I get you can we find you a 3-bedroom for say $500 a month, versus the 1,000, might be able to get you 4 bedrooms, might be able to get you 5 bedrooms for half of what you was willing to pay, and it was gonna be just as good and better than the super fancy thing that some other person was gonna try and get you to get. All I'm saying is be willing to consider living out of the main areas. I understand coming to Mexico, you might want to have some familiarity to home. But many folk coming to Mexico, this ain't home. This is Mexico. So you don't have to necessarily do stuff the way, sign and get a place that look like your house. Find out what the locals are doing, how they living, where they living, and start trying to acclimate yourself to that type of living sooner than later. Not saying you don't need no AC in your spot. Again, I'm just saying consider living in the more traditional areas outside of the expat zone, and be willing to see what the options are, what options are available to you. Some places want all these deposits. The one we got today, they didn't need no guarantor, no signer. They didn't have to pay no extra deposit. We just paid for a month rent, 1 month deposit, and the contract fee. That's it. Many places they want 4 deposits. Some want 5. Some want 6. Like I tell y'all, everything is negotiable when you're in front of that owner. All bets are on the table. All options are on the table. So, and you gotta be willing to walk away from some stuff. You know, just because somebody say these are our terms don't mean you gotta accept it. You know what I mean? So be willing to walk away from some things. And that's your biggest weapon, is being willing to walk away. That's why I think when you got time on your hand, on your side, you have a lot more opportunities. Merida is so big, and the areas around Merida are so vast. There is something for you, and opportunities for you to get what you want, to achieve whatever you like. So take your time, spend the money on a doggone rental car, and ride around and get to know these areas. If you don't want to do that, get a driver, let them take you around. But get around, see for yourself. Get out the car, walk up and down them streets, see what's in those areas, mingle with people, talk to people, just get out. You know what I mean? So I don't want to continue to beat this dead horse, but just wanted to share that. And you got to be patient, because like I said, the first 3 days, everything went south and it wasn't looking good, but we stayed the course, and boom, voila, everything opened up today. And then we end the day with the lady responding back with the 2-bedroom, 1 bath for 5,000 pesos. And I'm leaving it up to the client whether or not she wants to go take a look at it and do something with that before she pays the contract, before she pays the deposit on the property tomorrow. So she wanted to share that. In my course on the website, moveabroadandthrive.com/academy, I have a section in there showing you how to find the best deals on real estate. I include my sources for finding properties online as well, and some of the techniques that I do to reach out to folks to negotiate these prices. So if you're interested, take a look at the website, moveabroadandthrive.com. Link at the top that says something about join the academy. Sign up for that. If you like to book a consultation, feel free, visit the website, book a consultation. There's a link for consultations on the website as well. I'm happy to assist and talk and guide you as necessary.